You are never alone. You are never alone. Just reach into your heart and Allah is always there. You are never alone. You are never alone. Through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace, you are never alone.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A new episode of Family Issues. Actually, as you notice from the previous episodes, as usual, that we are trying as much as we can, hardly, to put you on the track in order to be a high quality parent or a high quality caregiver, in order to be all the time caring about your children in an ideal way and not committing errors or causing problems to your children. And maybe this is specifically the right name of this episode today. What are the common mistakes that parents commit all the time with their children, repeatedly? What are the common pitfalls, or what we can consider in one way it's some sort of taboos committed commonly by parents, unfortunately by skillful parents. Let us first remind ourselves, what are the functions of any parent? Why we are parents, why we are fathers, why we are mothers, why we are created. What is the job, the exact ideal job description of a parent? Okay, let's describe it in detail. Maybe they are classified into four specific axes for the functions or the jobs of the parent. Number one, to give love and care to our children, to be loving them all the time, and to prove to them that we love them by all means, by any means, as the last two episodes we were speaking about body language, if you remember, body language and psychology. Smile to them, kiss them, hug them, stroke their hairs, tickle them, all the time do things by touch, by eye look, by words, by any means try to prove that you love them. This is in short. The second axis is the sense of security. You have to let them feel as much as you can in this life that they are very secure. They are not threatened. So all the time you are speaking about the house you are building, about the life and the home they are living in, how you are going to make the desk of your child, the bed, speaking about the hobbies you are practicing at home, about the future dreams you are trying to fulfill to your children, and to all the time prove to them that you are going to live together, we are not going to be separated at all. This makes children feel that they are secure. Our offsprings need all the time this, in addition to food and to water. Another third function in our job description as parents is self-confidence. This is the third and the one before the last. Self-confidence. You have to insist on creating a child who is self-confident, who is having a good self-concept, who is caring about himself and not putting himself in an embarrassing situation. You have to build his personality in a way that makes him strong enough to face all the criticism, to face all the threats, to face all those who are trying to break him. Because this is unfortunately nowadays the usual way people treat each other. So self-confidence and self-esteem is the third job description parents are ordered to do. If you don't build this self-confidence, then you are a low-quality parent. The fourth, and to my mind the last important main function of a parent, is what's called in quality science the SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis is, in brief, to catch the strengths of your child and to know the weaknesses in order to focus on the strengths and to distract away the mind of your child from his negatives and his weaknesses. But unfortunately, this is not the usual what happens. And this is what we are, inshallah, going to discuss during these segments of this episode. Let me first give you our telephone numbers in order to let you be in touch with us all the time. 002-023-8 555 248 and 249. And I hope that you can call us and join us with your questions and your comments. And fortunately, we have some emails today that we want to answer in the next segment. 2 questions at least came to us about some points in the quality of raising our children. Okay, anyway, in order to discuss in brief all the quality criteria of a parent, but today from another point of view, the point is called the 7 or the 8 pitfalls and common mistakes all the parents commit every day. So we are going to have a break and come back to discuss these points. Okay.
You are never alone. You are never alone.
In this program, inshallah, we'll be discussing the major sins in Islam, the way that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had taught us. Why the neighbor does not care about their neighbor anymore? Why does the father does not care about the son anymore? Why does the mother does not care about her daughter anymore? There's major sins that we need to be very far away in our lives, so we could get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obtain the pleasure of Allah azza wa jal. As long as we commit those major sins, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not be too pleased from us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish those who commit those major sins. Keep away from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had forbidden, and you'll be the closest worshipper to Allah azza wa jal. It is our duty in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep away from what Allah azza wa jal had forbidden. As when we commit those sins, especially those major sins, remember you are displeasing your Lord, and you are bringing upon the curse and the anger of your Lord upon you.
Why righteous companions? It is Islam that given us the sense of dignity. I love all of them in a way that you cannot imagine. That Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu would say something and the Quran would come down matching what he said. والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. Just compare what you did for Islam with just one of them.
Dear viewers, Hoda programs can be watched in the English section of the in-flight entertainment directory on board all Saudi airline flights, domestic and international. Sit back, relax and enjoy watching Hoda's entertaining and enlightening shows on your trip. Hoda wishes you a safe and successful journey. Hoda, a light in every home.
You are never alone. You are never alone.
Assalamu alaikum again, and we are discussing today the 8 or the 7 to 8 common pitfalls that most of the parents commit, at least in the Middle East community. Unfortunately, they are not focusing on the right things. They are distracted themselves. There is what's called child discipline, and also there is what's called parent discipline. So today we are speaking about the discipline of the parents, the undisciplined parents. If you imagine with me that those who are surrounding your child are individuals in an orchestra, and you are the maestro of the orchestra, and you have to have homogeneous or some sort of good way of sound and matching. Everyone is playing in a way that is matching with the others. So in this case, you are going to have a good quality of performance. But unfortunately, some parents do not care about the contents of the orchestra. What do we mean by this orchestra? We mean the teachers who teach this child, the coaches who train this child in the club, the relatives who meet him, the brothers and sisters, those who teach him, for example, Quran. Anyone who plays a role in the life of your child is supposed to be an individual in an organized orchestra. Those focusing parents, good planner parents, good designers, do not choose or have those individuals of the orchestra haphazardly. They choose them in a very accurate way. In other words, it's not the point that you choose a teacher who is very talented in mathematics, for example, or in physics. Of course, it's important for him to perform at school from the academic point of view. But I think the more important point of view is the personality, as we have said, of your child, your son or your daughter. So you have to choose someone who is, to my mind, having a point of psychology in his mind and who gives your child some sort of self-confidence, and he is all the time admiring him, looking to him with admiration eyes. Wow, you are a perfect boy. Wow, you are a genius girl, and so on. If you are having someone who gives this encouragement to the child, then this is one first good individual in the orchestra surrounding your child. You are a good planner. You deserve to have a sticker or to have a star as a parent. We're speaking about the 7 stars parent. The one who is, for example, teaching Quran. I'm not tackling the religious point of view. Of course, those who are teaching Quran, most probably they are good people. But, however, it's not necessary that you learn by heart the whole Quran, that your performance with children in the educational or the way of raising children is exactly good. Maybe sometimes I found, in the contrary, I found people who are calling bad names to children after teaching them Quran. So the point is to choose someone who is talented, not just in Quran, but in smiling to the child and saying, Barakallahu feek, you are a good person, you are marvelous, God loves you, because you are reciting Quran in a very good way. This is an addition, another brick in the building, in the pyramid of the personality of your child. The same applies to the coaches or the trainers in whatever type of sports your child is practicing in the club. If you are sending your child to a club or to a youth center, wherever it is, playing football, swimming, whatever he's doing, the quality of the one who is training him. I'm not speaking again about the sportive skills. No, it's of course important. But to my mind, as a father, the most important to my child, to my son, is to choose someone who is positive, a positive personality, that all the time say, you are a good boy, you are a strong man, wow, you are going to be someday one of the celebrities in the sports field. Just say it. Just let the child hear this all the time. Who is the planner of this? Maybe you are going to find in the club so many trainers. But and it's a rule, you are compelled to have this trainer for this age, for example. But sometimes I know people who are doing some things untraditional. They choose, I don't know how, they compel the management or the administration of the club to let this man train my child, even if he took him to his home privately. The point is that you are a designer, you are a planner. Please put this in your mind. You are surrounding your child with positive people. If your child raises in this way and opens his eye, finds this smiling to him, this encouraging him, this saying you are a good person, this saying you are a good, strong boy, you are going to create a strong person. You are going to strong someone who is very self-confident, not arrogant. Self-confident, there is great difference between arrogance and self-confidence. Okay? Because you can, in the same time, consequently teach him how to be humble. This is another issue. I'm not talking about, of course, arrogance. I'm talking about how to trust that I can do this, or I can't do it. This is the opposite. Those people who are distracted, undisciplined parents who haphazardly choose those who are surrounding. We are going to train our child, for example, football by, who is the one who trains them? Mr. Ahmed. Okay, he is Mr. Ahmed. What do you want? How much do you have? You pay the money. The same applies to the teachers. Even about the relatives, the grandparents, the grannies. If you tell your mother or your father, the grandparents of your child, to speak positively, please mom, do not criticize me in front of my child. Do not all the time suppress me. And do not suppress the child. I know you love him, but if you please, can you speak in another way? If you can do this, it's all right. But don't, of course, make your parent angry about you. So, at the end of this point, I just want to say that the orchestra, the homogeneous orchestra organized by the greater organizer, the maestro, the head of the orchestra, the conductor, is the father or the mother who chooses successfully positive people around his child, and not those people who are discouraging all the time, criticizing all the time, celebrities in their fields, but they are not good in the field of admiration. Let me, by the way, answer one of the emails that came to us, which is by Amatullah. Amatullah says in her email, my 11 years old daughter suffers from fear very much. She used to fear from death, and then she became to fear from everything. Even in the last term exams of her elementary stage, she insisted to accompany me to accompany her to school. Nowadays, she fears from anything and fears to sit at home alone. Sometimes she does not play and with other kids. What should I do? Please help me. Well, as we usually say, most of such types of problems are a mixture or a combination of genetic and environmental factors. It's a process. It's a process. If you know that in the family history, or one of the two parents, for example, is used to be afraid of so many things or fearful of so many things, automatically you are going to conclude that your child most probably is going to be like you or like your spouse, the other parent. But if you reinforce this by living in an environment, as we have been saying just right now, this encouraging all the time, and the most dangerous point is that you can read fear in the eyes of your child and tell him this. This is very bad. Some people say to their children, why you are afraid? Look to yourself, look at the mirror, you are afraid. Look to your face, why you are shaking? What's happening? You are reinforcing something. Please, do not do this to your child. Try to ignore this. Try to neglect the picture you are seeing. And try to wear a mask. Wear a mask that says that you are a good person, I like your self-confidence, and I like seeing you all the time self-confident. Sometimes do not expect that the child is not going to be fearing of something. Everyone fears. This is sometimes a healthy feeling. But of course, when it is exaggerated up to the phobia degree, what's the meaning of phobia? Phobia means to be afraid of something that's usual. It's not a source of being afraid. For example, to feel afraid of dogs, to feel afraid of cockroaches, to feel afraid of going outside home, to feel afraid of meeting someone new you didn't meet before. Most of us maybe sometimes feel that they are shy to meet someone for the first while, a bit nervous, but not afraid. This is exaggeration. So if you find something like this in your child, all what you have to do is not mentioning this, but mention the times when he is not afraid, and having a picture or to pose on this view and say, look to yourself, you are not afraid. You are courageous enough. I know you are self-confident. This is my son. You are like me. When I was in your age, I used to be afraid sometimes, but you are more courageous than me. This is your job. To my mind, I don't think that all or most of the cases of feeling fearness and afraid are in need of drug therapy. No. But the most important is the environment. if you live for a chronic or a long time in a place where your father hits you or spanks you or talks to you loudly, or this is what we are going to speak now about, the 7 taboos or the 7 pitfalls parents commonly do. So please guarantee to me that the environment is calm, and we have said just before in the first segment that one of my jobs is to feel secure, sense of security. Do not threaten your child all the time and tell him, I'm going to leave home, I'm going to leave you alone, you are going to fail, you are going to be a garbage man because you are not working well. This makes the child shaking. It's some sort of earthquake inside the child. Am I going to be a garbage man? And who is the one who is saying this? The maestro, the conductor of the orchestra, the one who chose people to admire your son, is the one who is criticizing and saying, I see that you are afraid. Please follow these advices. Amatullah. I think we are having a phone call from Ayman from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum, Ayman.
Alaikum salam.
How are you, Ayman? Please go on.
Yes.
What's your question?
I'm graduated from university, but
Okay.
I'm not married. But I want to ask. I want to know if I have a child, do I encourage him to watch media and choose his favorite sport?
To see
make
what?
him-
To see what, Ayman?
I want to know if I have a child,
Yes.
do I encourage him to watch media and choose his favorite sport to make him in a good situation and to be with him all the time and to don't make him feel worried.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Ayman. Our brother Ayman is asking about, he is not married and consequently he is not having children. He is asking, he's a fresh man from university. He says, if I'm going to have a child someday, should I let him see media and choose his sport by himself? And should I be with himself? This question is full of so many dimensions. One of them is the idea of the media. Of course, your child, I am from the people who want to let children mix with everything they face. But of course, in a calculated degree, of course. I mean, he sometimes can go to cinemas, can watch TV, can do certain activities. I'm not speaking about the content of what he see, but I'm speaking about the idea itself, about the activity itself. He should go to gardens. You should take him. If you want to make a highly intelligent child, you have to let him practice and do so many activities as much as you can. But if you keep him at home, and here comes the other point, which is, should I be with him or not all the time or most of the time? It's a relative matter, but of course, guarantee to me, inshallah, that in the first 5 to 7 years that you are more stuck to him, because he needs you in these times to be careful, to have the touch of a father, the rough touch of the father, and the calm touch of the mother. Both of them are making some sort of a formula that makes a person stable. Okay? So we want both touches. But unfortunately, Ayman, you find nowadays men outside homes and just women or mothers are caring about children. And unfortunately, even those caregivers, the mothers, are fighting with children all the time because of study and schools. If you want me to advise you something about what should you do better with your child to have a specific one, or someone like Salahuddin or like any celebrity, you have to put in your mind the 4 job description points I've just been mentioning just right now, and to put the study and the school after them, not before them, as usually happening nowadays. You have number 1, to drown your child in love. You have to teach him to be self-confident, and you have to let him feel secure all the time and see what's called the SWOT analysis. And let us have another telephone call. Assalamu alaikum. Ruqayya, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa
From
rahmatullah.
Egypt, Ruqayya, assalamu alaikum.
Yes, wa alaikum
Ruqayya, Ruqayya.
Can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Hello?
Ruqayya, do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, salam alaikum. Can you hear me now?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, I had a question.
Please.
Jazakumullah khairan for the work
Jazana wa
that you're
jazakum.
doing. The
Thank
question
you.
I have is, how do you keep the balance between disciplining a child and giving them, encouraging them to do things? Because sometimes I find myself maybe pushing too hard, but I don't know where the balance is, you know. Sometimes
Yes.
I don't want to be too lenient, so they become too lax and loose, and at the same time I feel as if I'm too hard on them.
Yeah.
Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very, very much, Ruqayya, because Ruqayya is asking a question which is very suitable for this episode. She is asking about the point of balance, where to feel stable. She says that sometimes I feel leaning to them and caring about them and loving them to the degree that I'm afraid that I'm going to spoil them. Some other times she feels that she is pushing them, she is very pushy, rough, ordering, and she feels that they might hate her, or they might feel that she is not their mother. She is a rough person who is pushing them towards the target. I think Ruqayya, you mentioned they mentioned the question and the answer. Of course, such a process is not by calculators. I mean, we are not robots. We cannot say at a certain point that we are going to be rough, and at a certain point we are going to be calm or loving. It's like, you know, if you are in the ship, in the sea, and the point of moving, when you find yourself, you can read the comments on the tongues of your children, because I think these answers or the words your children say are like SMSs or messages coming from God to you, to direct you, to redirect you, if you get away from the track. I remember myself once, and this is a very important example, Ruqayya. At that time I had 2 sons. Now alhamdulillah I have 4, and these 2 old sons, my old 2 sons, one of them, in my heart I was leaning to them, and I was feeling that he is cute and he is playful and funny, so you find yourself attracted to him. The other one is a bit serious, the older one. So one day my younger child came to me and asked a question, "Papa, can we turn on the TV?" Before I answered the question, I looked aside and I found the other one, the older one, is standing behind the curtain. He is hiding, waiting for the answer. I concluded he's waiting for the answer. I felt that I want to throw myself from the window. I felt very guilty. You know why? Because I felt that I'm leaning towards this child and I'm away from the other. And up to the degree that he is sending his brother in order to guarantee that I'm going to open the TV, because this is the one who is usually, when he asks things, he's answered, yes, of course. So I said, anyway, I said to my child, okay, go and open the TV. But at this moment, I know that I have to change myself to the right track. You are a parent by the first position. You are a parent. You are not a teacher. You are not a coach. You are not any one of those who we are mentioning just right now in the orchestra. You are the maestro. The maestro, of course, has to be balanced. But he has also to guarantee that there is some sort of harmony and homogeneity between those who are making the orchestra. And you are the mother. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said that the one who deserves to be the closest friend of yours is your mother. And he repeated 3 times, your mother, your mother, your mother. Then he said, your father. And after this comes anyone else. So it means that the mother is a friendly person. So please, from now on, you have to promise me that if you were having a choice to be pushy and serious, or to be caring and loving, I think I prefer this one in the usual way, to be a positive mother and not to be a criticizing one. Okay, let us have a break and come back to continue our episode.
You are never alone. You are never alone.
Ask Hoda.
Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda.
I have 2 questions.
Please go ahead. You can read it in Arabic and you can also understand the meaning in your own language. The different tafsir and the interpretation of the meanings of the Quran are available in almost every language that exists on earth by the grace of Allah. The water of Zamzam is for whatever intention you drink it with. Salih from Egypt, his father has the way, and he asked about how can he help him. Very good question.
Can we give a zakat to any of the dawah centers?
The ibadah or the act of worship is a part of the unity of worship.
You have questions that bother you. What about issues of concern to you? Would you like to share things on your mind with us? Are you interested in solutions based on an Islamic perspective? Please join me live in Meet Your Advisor every Friday at 9 p.m. Mecca time, here on Huda TV.
You are never alone. You are never alone.
Welcome back. We're speaking about 7 to 9 pitfalls commonly performed by undisciplined parents. Please agree with me about the name, undisciplined parents. This is having a link with what our friend Ruqayya was speaking about, discipline and being playful. Discipline for parents. Again, I'm repeating, our telephone number is 002-023-835-248 and 249. And let me answer the next email in the next episode, because I think we have to speak a little about these pitfalls. The first commonly wrong thing that parents do is spanking or hitting their children. This corporeal or physical abuse I see nowadays, people using their children and their bodies harshly, spanking them by their hands, by their legs, by things, throwing things at them. This humiliating, this very bad way of dealing with a human being anyway. Our children's bodies are sacred. We have to respect them. We have to teach them to respect their bodies, and don't let anyone put his hand on my body. Those children who are hit at schools and then they laugh, they are used to be hit by their parents. They used to be spanked by their parents. So it's not something new for them. When you spank some children at school, for example, 9 children, you find 8 of them are laughing. 1 of them is crying. Why is that one crying? He is crying because he is not used to his parents didn't use to spank him at home. Be like him. To my mind, it's the most uncivilized and very ungentle way to deal with a child. No, please choose another thing in order not to be, I don't want to say the word, criminal. Sometimes in the foreign countries, there is a family police, and those social workers go and from the federal law, they enter the home compulsory to investigate if you are a good father or not, and it might reach to the degree that they can take the child from you if they do not guarantee the safety of your child, because you are harsh and you are spanking him all the time, and people are hearing the screaming. And as you are saying the word screaming, there is another pitfall common by parents, which is shouting and yelling and screaming all the time. This reminds me with, someone who is having a paper, and this paper is cut into small pieces, and when you puff at the pieces, they are going to be thrown in the air. This is the same applies to the knowledge and the bits of information in the head of your child. They are collected together, bit by another bit, and cemented or stuck together if they are taught to him in a good way, in a good setting. But when you shout at his face, all the knowledge are going to be separated and as the paper puffed away. If you repeat doing this another time, and another time, shouting, screaming, all the time at your child, this is going to let him lose the ability of what's called the sequencing of ideas. He's not going to be focusing well. This is one of the environmental causes of attention deficit. Okay? So, please, do not let your children lose their ability of combining the bits of information and combining knowledge together. Another common pitfall is calling bad names. This is a scandal, a very common scandal. Unfortunately, when you find a well-educated parent, a university doctor, for example, or a professor, or an engineer, or a banker, or someone who is working in a good position, and he is saying some words, some bad names that you cannot hear them even in the poorest avenue in the back of the city. So how come you do this? And the child feels that he is inferior. You are making him having loss of self-concept, loss of self-confidence. His self-concept is very bad. So this abusive way, verbal abuse, is very bad in affecting the personality negatively of your children, and it's not going at all to help you make a good man. I like that woman who used to say to her girl, when she does something good, she says, "You are my princess, you are marvelous, you are beautiful." And when she commits an error, the mother says, "You are not going to be the princess I'm dreaming about. You are not going to be the princess I used to see." If the girl does something bad, that's the end of what that mother can do. But she doesn't say, "You are so and so." I don't want to say the bad words because I don't like them. Who says what? The father says that. The father says this to his child. The first one who abused verbally and physically the child is the father. And what do you expect from the foreigners, the teachers, the coaches, those who meet the child outside? They are going to be more caring about him than the mother, than the greatest bond between the mother and her child, or the father and his child. Of course, we do not expect this. So calling bad names is another common pitfall. Please train yourself in order to be a high quality parent. Train yourself not to call your child stupid, you ugly, you nuts. All the time you say this. This is the worst thing you do in your life. You are demolishing, you are destructing what you are building. Could you understand this? Do you understand me now? You are destructing what you are building. You are like a man who is putting bricks on themselves, a piece over piece, and then throwing them again. And putting the piece, you are wasting your time and you are shaking your child. By the way, remind you, one of the most common medical bad syndromes, what's called the shaken baby syndrome. Did you hear about this? Shaken baby syndrome. Unfortunately, I'm not having the doll I used to use in the program before. It's like, if you hold your child, some people hold their children from their shoulders and shake them. Where did you put the knife? Where did you put the papers? Why did you do so and so? Shaking the child in a way. Scientists in the medical books said that very minute blood hemorrhages happens in the lungs and in most of the organs of the child when you shake him. But the most dangerous of them is the minute hemorrhages that appear in the brain areas, which are the seeds to what's called in the future learning difficulties. It's the beginning of learning difficulties. Remember that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and so many of the educational professors nowadays insist on not spanking the face. Do not spank the face. There is a straightforward hadith, I think, by Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, which says, do not slap the face. Straightforward, do not slap the face. One of the studies we have made proved that there is a positive, highly positive statistical correlation between slapping the face and learning difficulties. What's your opinion about this? Do you want your child to be having a special need? Do you want to make by your hands hemorrhages in the brains of your children? It's a crime. It's a crime. Continuous criticism. This is the fourth. We said spanking, shouting, calling bad names, and now the fourth, continuous criticism. Some people are artistic in this. I think most of us in the Middle East, specifically in, unfortunately, some of the Arab countries, are artistic in criticizing. Typical criticizer. To my mind, or to so many people's mind, they think that by this way, they are correcting the bad things in their children. They leave positive points and focus on the negatives. Why you are not combing your hair good? Why you are speaking in this way? Why your voice is loud? Why your handwriting is bad? The answers are right, all of them, and the child got 10 out of 10. It didn't affect you. All what affected you is the bad handwriting. I don't know why you are so selective in this way. Selecting things, it's an art of selecting errors. I think this is better used outside home, at jobs, but not at homes with children. This is the first way to destroy your child. And do not expect that the teacher is going to be more caring about your child than you. Okay? You are the last chance of being flexible and cute and kind to the child. All of them are going to criticize him. I guarantee this. Of course, this makes a child very weak, feeling that he is incomplete. He is having inferiority or something like this. Feeling all the time that he is inappropriate. The fifth point is the continuous threatening. All the time the mother is saying, when your father come, I will tell him what he did. When your father come, I'll let him spank you. When your friends come at your birthday, I will tell them what you have done and how you wet yourself. All the time the language carries in the tone of challenging and the tone of threatening the child that there's something bad is going to happen. This contradicts with what we have just been saying in the previous segment. Sense of security. Your job is to give sense of security. You are not the one who is created to threaten all the time the child. And of course, if this happens all the time, do not get surprised when all of a sudden you find your child wetting himself. When you find your child sucking his thumb, or biting his nails, or stuttering. All these are side effects or are signs of pressure, or as Ruqayya have been said, pushing the child in a harsh way. Please, I beg you, fathers, dear mothers, do not do this to your children if you are really caring about them. The fifth point we have said is the continuous threatening, because this lets them lose their sense of security and lose their self-confidence, as I've said, and all the types of negative feelings. The sixth point is comparison. Comparing your child with other children. Look, I'll tell you a common saying I used to say all the time. If you want to kill your child, compare him with another child. Please, focus with me, concentrate with me. If you want to kill your child, compare him with another one. If you want to kill him in a very harsh way, let the other child be his brother or sister. If you want to delete him, not to defeat him, to delete him, let the other brother or sib be a younger one. If you are planning very well, you choose a younger brother or a younger sister for your child, and tell him, why don't you be like this young child who controls herself? She doesn't wet herself. And you, the old one, you wet yourself. I want your handwriting to be like this, KG1 baby. Look at the handwriting. Of course, maybe it's better. But this is not the way. You are shaking. This is another way of shaking baby syndrome. This is shaking child syndrome. You are shaking his personality. You are destroying your boy. You understand this? And unfortunately, this happens commonly. This is a very, if not the most common pitfall by mothers and fathers. Comparing them with their youngsters? How come? This is illogic. To my mind, I am from those who refuse comparing anyone by anyone. Your fingers of your hands are not like each other. The index is not like the middle, is not like the little, and this is for a wisdom by God. Because every finger means that it's unique, it's something unique. So, do not expect that you are going to have 5 thumb fingers. If God wanted to do this, He was going to do it, and you are going to do it very well and function and right. No, God sends a message to you by the difference in the shape of the fingers. Your children are not going to be like each other. So do not compare. It's like comparing cotton with iron. Cotton with iron. You know, when you compare someone to another one, 4 things happen. 4 things happen after comparison. If you are comparing me with another child. Number 1, I hate that child. Number 2, I think you don't love me. Number 3, I lose confidence in myself. Number 4, I lose everything of my dignity, every piece of my dignity. Because you are comparing me in front of him or from his back, in front of people or from their backs. This shakes me and makes me feel hating the other one, and I feel that you hate me, and I lose my self-confidence. Seventh, the 7th pitfall is making fun of your child. Making fun of your child. Please, making fun of your child is something that's very bad, to label your child. Saying, for example, your head is full of air. I'm trying to teach you from the very beginning of the morning and you are not understanding anything. I know a mother who told her child who was having common cold all the time, you nosy boy. Well, I think unfortunately our time came to the end, and I wanted to say so many things, but unfortunately, as usual, time goes out of our hands. But anyway, I hope that you got benefit from this episode about the 7 common pitfalls by parents. To see you again in another episode next Wednesday is going to be a pleasure of me, of course. And let me give you the email, familyissues@huda.tv. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
You are never alone. You are never alone. Through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace, you are never alone. So now, as you long for your past, prepare for your future, but knowing nothing's gonna last. You see, this life is but a road, a straight and narrow path to our final abode. So travel well, O Muslim, and paradise will be your home.